Have you ever met someone and thought to yourself, wow, I will never meet someone like that ever again? And if you have, you know that some people's lives are so wild they almost sound fake, and today's stories are no exception. And honestly, if no one would have filmed these people I'm about to talk about, I probably wouldn't have even believed they exist. So without further ado, here are 3 real-life people who live the most extraordinary lives. Meet Bernie. At the time this photo was taken, he was well into his 60s and has one of the most unusual backstories. Being an adventurer at heart, he took on many different roles in life, but eventually settled down as a married man, taking on a 9-to-5 as a nuclear engineer until one day he had a dream. His body may have aged, but his mind did not, even writing later in his autobiography that in his imagination he is still a teenager, and so when one day he had a dream of becoming a stripper out of all things, he said, sure, why not? And by the way, there's something that you have to keep in mind, because it's not like Bernie was 35 or even 40 when this happened, but he was 60 years old. It's worth noting that when he made this decision to become a stripper, he had just recovered from surgery due to prostate cancer, so I'm sure facing death was a motivating factor for him to just shamelessly pursue his dream, realizing that any day could be his last. So anyways, there he is in the strip club in the back dressing room, and he's looking around at all these 20-something-year-old guys, and they're all ripped, and so he's the oldest guy there by a long shot. And despite this, he just walks out on stage with a big smile and just starts rocking out, and immediately everyone falls in love. Girls would be screaming with excitement the moment he came on stage, and he would even say that one time a girl fainted during one of his performances, and he would constantly get emails from his fans. And apparently, he was so good he won 42 striptease contests and was even recognized by Guinness World Records in 2003 as the oldest male stripper in the world. In 2006, America's Got Talent was hosting their very first season, and when Bernie caught wind of this, he thought, ooh, that might be some fun. And I'm going to play that clip in just a minute because it's absolutely hilarious. But pay close attention to the sentiment in the audience at the beginning of the performance versus after the performance. Take a look.
What's your name?
My name is Bernie Barker. I'm the world's oldest male stripper.
Wait, stripper as in you're gonna take off your clothes?
I'm gonna do it.
Don't take this the wrong way, okay? You're a nice old guy, but enough's enough. Just
okay.
We have to cut you off in your prime, if you don't mind me saying, okay?
Hey, at least I had a prime.
You think America would love this?
I think America would definitely root for Bernie.
Yeah.
Bernie has the it factor, I'm sorry.
If you're the next superstar in America, America's got big problems. All right? This is very easy. Never.
David, yes or no?
Yes.
I vote 100% yes. I love you. You're hot.
Yeah.
Hot.
Okay.
Bernie, off you go. Off you go.
You guys are nuts. Absolutely nuts.
America's going to see much more of me. I'm going to come back with my glow stick and much less clothes.
I thought he was great. I wanted to see how far he was gonna go.
Even though Bernie got 3 of the judges' buzzers, by the time he walked off stage, both the audience and the judges couldn't help but be moved by Bernie's radiant personality and charisma. And I wish this story would have a happy ending, but the cancer in Bernie's prostate would make a fierce comeback and unfortunately take his life less than a year later. In 2004, there was a film made starring Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore depicting a couple that would consistently live out their first date over and over again each day. And the reason for that is because Lucy, the character played by Barrymore, has this real bad case of amnesia caused by a violent car accident. And so every day she wakes up believing it's October 13th, the day of her accident, and after roughly a year of this, meets Henry, the character played by Sandler, at which point they fall in love, but it's a constant uphill battle for Henry because every single day his girlfriend Lucy wakes up, she has no idea who he is. But the craziest part is real-life stories similar to this actually exist. Meet Jeff and Penny Ingram, for example. The couple lived a relatively ordinary life in Olympia, Washington, until Jeff decides to visit his mother in Canada, but never ends up making it there. And days later, Penny finds Jeff on the evening news claiming he completely lost all his memories and was reaching out for help in the hopes that someone would recognize who he was. It turns out Jeff had driven the complete opposite direction of Canada and somehow ended up in Denver, Colorado. And all he can remember is waking up from laying on the street somewhere in downtown and walks around for 7 hours before finally reaching a hospital willing to hear him out. Eventually, the doctors came to the conclusion that he has a rare form of amnesia called Dissociative Fugue, where he forgot all the memories he had before the time of this episode. And just listen to Penny's tone of voice when the two recalled the incident, because rather than being devastated or let down by the realization that their relationship will never be the same due to her fiancé's condition, she openly embraces it, completely accepting and loving him for who he is.
Town Denver.
Do you know if you'd ever been to Denver before? Do you know if you're from Denver?
No, I don't.
You remember nothing about your past life?
No, nothing prior to September the 10th.
So I ended up calling the Denver Police Department, and that's when they told you who you were. We talked on the phone. I said, "Hi, I'm Penny, your fiance." You asked, did we have kids? What was your life like? It was like meeting you again for the first time. And when you came home, I didn't know what to do, and so I offered to sleep in the spare room, considering you didn't know me. But when you were home for a while, you called my mother again and asked her for my hand in marriage. And my mom was like, "I already told you, yes." And so we got married on New Year's Eve.
That's my biggest regret about having these episodes, is that I forgot that.
We'll do it again, so you can remember it.
It's harder for you because you have the memories and the heartache. I just have nothing.
Yeah, every time you don't pick up the phone when I call, I panic. I think I'm going to lose you again. Someday, if it happens and you come home and you don't want to be back together, I would have to let you go.
You have no idea how thankful and grateful I am to have you in my life. After my last episode, when I came into the house, I knew I could trust you from the look in your eyes. I knew that that's where I should be. If I lose my memory again, I will still love you. I will always love you.
3, 2. Goddamn, Jeff is stoic. Wow, your vascularity's going crazy.
That was Jeff Dabe, and he's yet another person to hold a Guinness World Record on this list, but this time for the world's largest ring finger. And for the longest time, Jeff only sported a tattoo on this ring finger in the shape of a ring because he couldn't find anyone who could make a ring for this abnormally large finger that he had, but eventually he found a jeweler that custom made a ring for him. And when being measured, the jeweler was shocked to find his ring finger a whopping 4.78 inches. And to put that into perspective, his finger just barely fits into the hollowed part of a toilet paper roll. And surprisingly though, it was concluded by a group of scientists at the University of Missouri that Jeff doesn't actually have any form of gigantism. He was just born a little different. And like with anything, it had both perks and drawbacks. He always had above average strength due to his size, and despite being picked on in school, joined the wrestling team and was able to overpower a lot of his opponents. And he also started a bit of an arm wrestling career in his senior year of high school, but was forced to retire after he injured the elbow in his dominant right arm. And even though his oversized limbs have been the source of a lot of anxiety in his youth, they were actually his claim to fame in recent years. And after taking up arm wrestling once again, he became widely known throughout the community as Popeye, and became state champion in Minnesota. Today, Jeff enjoys a quiet life in the countryside with his wife and kids, and hopes to retire from arm wrestling in the near future, this time for good. Anyways, that's all I got for today. If you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments down below. I've committed to responding to every single person who comments. And also, if you like my content, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my 1 or 2 weekly videos. And if you want to see similar story compilations to this one, here is my most popular video where I talk about the 3 most heartwarming Christmas stories I could find. Anyways, until next time guys, see ya.